many things, so his mission as a prophet could be fulfilled. She says currently right now, and this is back in, I think we're in 1956 here someplace, that America, Russia, and China were all kind of fighting for dominance of the world. Along with these three major superpowers, most people were not aware that the Jewish Zionist extremists were working very closely with certain elements of the Roman Catholic Church to cause terrorism and mass murder in many areas of the world, to destabilize it. They also were fighting their own battle to gain control of the world without trying to taint their image that they had as being religious leaders, that they were undermining the general welfare and peace of the world by promoting terrorism and mass murder in certain areas and blaming it on other terrorist groups. That this action actually was being caused by the cardinals or chairs of Rome in connection with Jewish Zionist extremists. Another thing that she was providing to Billy was some events of the future. She said that now in 56 up through about the next 20 years, there were certain events which were going to happen, which needed to happen, certain political and religious events, mostly political assassinations, that needed to happen in order for the world to be on its proper course. And she said she was going to describe these future events to Billy, and that he was not to tell them to anyone because they did not want to take any chance that these events somehow may go astray or not happen. It was important that they did happen. She didn't go into lengthy explanations why, but she said these events were necessary to happen in order for our future to become I guess, more peaceful or whatever. So here are the events of the future that were given to Billy back in 1956. The first one that she mentioned was Joseph Stalin, and who was then head of Russia at the time, and she said that he was going to be poisoned on March 5th, 1953, because he would be kind to the Zionists. Of course, that event had already happened by the time that these prophecies came along. But Nikita Khrushchev would be his successor, and he would be coerced out of office in 1964. John Kennedy would become the President of the United States, which he did, and would be assassinated on November 22nd, 1963. The interesting fact was that she commented here in Billy's notes that this was going to be by the order of the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA. Now here we are in 1992, and we're finding out it's becoming more and more clear in the public that the CIA somehow probably was involved in that, although we don't have any exact proof. Because it's also mentioned right next to that in his notes that Bobby Kennedy will be killed by the same order, by the same people, on June 6, 68 in Los Angeles, when he's running as a candidate for president. So here we have some information from extraterrestrials prophesizing and being very accurate about the death of Kennedy's. It says the Holy Office in Rome will also not be spared. Pope John the 13th will be poisoned in 1962. Interestingly enough, that he and Pope Paul VI, who will also be poisoned by cooperation with the cardinals and the Jewish Zionist extremists. Here we have the cardinals, or the holy chairs of the Catholic Church, actually plotting to kill their own pope. It's the cardinals that put the popes in power, and apparently they put one in they didn't want, and they conspired somehow with Jewish extremists to kill their own pope. In Greece, King Paul I will be poisoned on March 6, 1964. A lot of poisoning going on here, so apparently there's, I guess if you're into assassinations or whatever, there must be certain kinds of poisons that are undetectable that you can use. His successor will be named Constantinos, who will be exiled in 3 years by a military regime. In Egypt, the land of the pyramids, Nasser then was president and leader of Egypt, but he would be poisoned by his own relatives in 1965. Again, there's poisons being used. In Saudi Arabia, King Faisal will be shot in 75. So here they're using a gun instead of poison. These were the most important events of the next 20 years, events that help shape and form the political leadership of our planet. And it was most important, she said, that these actions not be interrupted for whatever reason. Okay. She mentioned that Ascot mentioned that she and other extraterrestrials did not really have the authority, what they called the authority, to interfere with politics and religion. That authority wasn't by some laws that they had passed, They regard this as the authority of creation itself. Their moral value, you might say, is that every life form has the right of its own path of evolution. That every individual has the right to a free will to make his own conclusions and do what he wants. And they regard the people of Earth as having free will. It's up to us who we elect, who we let lead us, and what we do about it. And it wasn't their responsibility to interfere. So they believe that it's not right for them to interfere in our politics and religion. They can give us all the advice they want, so we make our own decisions, but they don't directly get involved. She says one of the main reasons for her coming there, her mission, was to prevent these scientific catastrophes that they were so worried about. That since the atomic bomb, scientists had learned entirely too much, and they were really afraid of some sort of doomsday devices that may actually explode the planet. They said there was a window of opportunity open up through 1974 where the possibility was very high that scientists here on Earth would invent and develop bombs and destructive devices that could actually explode the entire planet, just like what happened to the planet Milana, ruining not only our solar system, but maybe having catastrophic effects on the universe itself. So she was particularly concerned with taking care of those particular problems, as well as she felt very strongly about her role in helping Billy prepare for his mission as a prophet. Now, I've mentioned these Baphath creatures a couple of times. We talked about Billy and his experiences going underneath the pyramids with Ascot. Well, the people that were down there are called Baphath. And Baphath, you might say, are kind of a renegade Pleiadian group. About 75,000 years back, something like that, they split off from the Pleiadians, and a different faction of them, they'd come to Earth, and they'd been trying to take control of Earth for a long period of time, but not really having the capabilities. Their technology is not as good as the Pleiadians. It's degenerated a lot. And they've gotten to the point now where even our own missiles and so forth could be destructive to their ships. Apparently their ships don't have the protective screens like the Pleiadian ships do, and they're not able to even protect themselves against our missiles. So they have to be very cautious. So they've taken to trying to control the world and so forth through mind control of different leaders. So she was cautioning Billy again about this. And then she explained to him the fact that the crucifixion tools that Billy had seen under the pyramid when he was down there with her, those were designed on purpose by the Baphath. They were not the real crucifixion utensils. The crucifixion did happen, but the original crucifixion cross and so forth had already long since molded off into dust and was gone. That these crucifixion tools that Billy saw, or Edward saw down below, were fake. And they had been made on purpose by the Baphath because they were going to present them to a certain American named Reinhold Schmidt. And he would be told that these were the original tools of the crucifixion to stimulate and reinforce in him the belief about religion and Jesus Christ. And this would help to serve their interest because people who believe in certain religions and belief structures devoutly and worship are easy to control. These are the sort of people that generally are willing to give up their free will and allow some other entity, power, or religion, or whatever, to be responsible for them. And they've learned a long time ago that these kind of people can be controlled easily, so it's become a standard MO or modus operandum with this group of people to always use the religions and Christ and God and so forth in their approaches to many Earth human beings because it allows them to control them. Well, let's see, once again we're getting low on tape, so fast forward this one and I'll see you on the next side.